Waiting for it to go live. Oh, looks like we're live. All right. Well, hello, everybody. We're a little bit late due to some technical difficulties. Welcome back. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to wherever you're watching from. My name is Jake Sussman. And for those of you who don't know me, well, I'm the founder of Superpower Consulting, where we're a global mentorship organization working with kids with dyslexia and ADHD, connecting them with their very own mentor. Now, since quarantine started, I have been interviewing many people, from parents to industry leaders to doctors to business leaders, and also people like you and I. Now, every Monday night at 8 o'clock, I have been interviewing some really cool young professionals and college students who grew up like your kids. Now, we all have at least one thing in common, and that's that we have learning and attention challenges, especially those growing up in school. Now, tonight, I have a very special guest. Her name is Lauren, and Lauren has been a mentor for us for some time now, and she's incredible. Lauren is a therapeutic horseback riding instructor and a manager of a horse farm. And growing up with ADHD, you faced a lot of different challenges associated with learning differently. And you went from struggling in school to now giving back and helping kids through one of your biggest passions, which is horseback riding.
Yeah.
So Lauren, welcome to JakeSussmanLive. This is fun. We're gonna have fun tonight. Okay. So now, if you're just tuning in with us, okay, I encourage you to please ask questions and also let me know where you're watching from. There's nothing better than community. I want to know, where are you watching from? We have people from all over the world watching this with us. Okay. Now, I want you to imagine Lauren and myself like the older version of your kids. Okay. I know, just take a minute and try to imagine that. All right. If you were to look into the future, what would you want to ask your kids? All right. This is your opportunity to do that. Now, okay, Lauren, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. Do you remember when you were first diagnosed with the learning difference?
Yeah, so it was kind of like a long journey for me. It was evident that I started to have a lot of issues in the second grade. That was when teachers and my parents noticed that maybe I was having trouble and needed to be checked to see if I have a learning disability. But
yeah. So how did that work with your parents? Were you, when you first found out, did you feel like that it was like, it was like the end of the world, or did you have closure, or what happened?
I actually didn't really find out for a long while. So in the second grade, when I started having issues, basically they didn't have any testing that they were going to do for me. I know I'm a lot older than some of the other mentors, so I think there was less support for programs to help kids like us in school. So they didn't test me in second grade. I basically just trudged along, getting bad grades, being told I was stupid or couldn't keep up until really the fourth grade. And that was when I actually finally got tested once I switched schools. And when I did find out, it was sort of like, oh, okay, like now I understand why I am the way I am. So it was a little bit of a relief, but then at the same time, it was like, why I felt like why do I have to be different? Why do I have to struggle this way? And why does it have to be harder? And so it was kind of a conflicting emotions when I found out about it.
Yeah, I feel like it's like that for a lot of kids,
Yeah, for sure.
Like growing, like when you first find out, it's like, oh, you have a learning disability, like attention hyperactive deficit disorder, AD. Oh my gosh, I'm like confusing. Attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Oh my goodness, it's Monday night. Okay. Like I remember when I was first diagnosed with ADHD, I had similar feelings too. It's like, how come I'm so different than my friends?
Yeah.
And was that like that for you, or did you?
It definitely was. Yeah. And on top of it, on top of having ADHD, I also am like a kinesthetic learner. So I really need to move around and be physically active in order to process information better. and all my teachers were like, sit still, be quiet, stop moving around. So I felt like ADHD, and then I was not fitting with the way that we were being taught as kids in school. So I felt super duper lost. And I felt like, why is it so hard for me? Why can all these kids sit still and sit quiet and like take this information in? And it's so much harder for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for parents watching, do your kids have ADHD? And I want to know, what was it like for you when you first found out? So while our audience takes some time to answer that, I am really curious, if you don't mind just getting vulnerable and sharing. So Lauren, so now you're in, you go through middle school. What was middle school like for you?
It's really, really hard.
I feel like middle school is just the worst. I feel like
It
we should
really
just
is.
skip middle
It's
school, honestly.
the hardest time because I feel like a lot of kids are so lost to begin with. And then if you add in something like a learning disability, it just makes it infinitely more difficult. So it was really difficult for me. I had a lot of bullying from kids in class about my grades. Like I remember when I would get my grades back handed onto my desk, often I would like try to hide them right away because I didn't want people to see that I was struggling so much. I got a lot of backlash and like bullying from teachers as well, which was awful. And super confidence blowing for me and self-esteem blowing for me. So, I mean, the further that I got into middle school, the more help I received and the better it got. But it was really like an uphill battle for me getting there. So it was
And
hard.
was there, how old were you when you realized that it wasn't so much of a disability?
Um, that's hard. I mean, I want to say not until I was much older, not until I was maybe even in college where I was able to pursue things I was more interested in with the ability to learn information in different ways. Because
Right.
you know how in middle school and high school things are taught to you strictly in one way most of the time, depending on where you go to school. But
Absolutely. We actually just got a question.
okay.
Um, so the question is, did you feel embarrassed? And who or what was your aha moment to help you learn better?
Well, definitely felt embarrassed, for sure. And like hiding the grades and stuff like that, that's all symptoms of being embarrassed. But as I got older and I got more support, I wouldn't say there was an aha moment. I feel like I worked at it over time. And then eventually I realized how much better my mindset had gotten. But once I found some other people who also learned differently and I got some more support, I realized that it's not anything to be ashamed of. It's not in my control. All I can do is work harder to make myself better. So
You actually said something really interesting, because I don't want to just only talk about ADHD. This is because that's not fun. Like I want to talk about all the whole you, but you just said something interesting. You were talking about mindset. Okay. And I am a huge advocate for a lot of it is mindset. So what did you mean by my mindset changed?
Um, I was really hard on myself for a really long time, and I really took all of the bullying to heart and my struggles to heart. And then I don't really know what made it happen, but I just started thinking like, hey, I know that these things I'm being told are not true about me. I know that I might not be able to do certain things the same as everyone else in class, but I'm good at things. I'm worthy. And I kind of started to change my mindset into being like, just more focused on the positives about me. I don't know, like when it
No,
comes to,
no, that's good. No, you're good.
yeah,
It's good. It's important because you see, one of your passions that you found is animals.
yeah,
And I want to know, because this is really important for our parents to know this. Like,
huh,
if we can find our kids outlets, and I say this all the time, then that's when you're at your low moment, when there's nothing you can do. If you're like stuck in school getting bullied, you can at least have that outlet. So Lauren, what what was when did you discover your love for animals?
ugh,
Or did
ever,
you always love
I
animals?
always loved animals,
I mean,
but
who doesn't love animals, honestly?
but I mean, I always felt, I think part of the bullying that I went through about school, I felt more comfortable and able to be myself and less anxious when interacting with animals than I did in a lot of times in settings with lots of kids or adults. And that was like my confidence boosting time was working with animals
Right.
and interacting with animals. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
And I feel like that animals are, they're so amazing because they don't talk. I mean, they do, but we can't understand them.
Yeah.
Yet they can understand us.
Yeah.
And there's something really amazing about that. When you have an animal that knows when you're sad, knows when you're happy, knows when you're angry, knows when you're feeling just down. And like, it's like your dog just, like, how many of you have dogs that know, or pets that know when you're upset, and they come over there and just lick your face? You see, that to me is, there's something to that. Now, was there something about the animal that really connected you to them, or was it, did you feel like that you can talk to them, or?
I mean, like animals in general, but for me, horses are such a great therapy tool. Um, I I felt able to connect. I felt, especially with horses, they pick up on your emotions. Horses can read your facial expressions, and their body language reacts off of that. So, a large part of keeping them feeling calm and happy is like you have to reflect that for them. So it kind of gave me a way to, hey, I need to get my emotions under control, regulate myself for this animal. And then eventually that became, I need to do that for myself
Right.
anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Oh,
yeah.
I love that, because it's like, today, can you just tell everyone what you're doing today? What do you do?
Yeah. So I manage a horse farm in New Jersey. It's a big competitive farm. But we also have a program that's for kids and adults with special needs.
Hmm.
And that is really, I mean, I've always loved horses. I've always ridden competitively, but when I found these kind of programs, it really was like that was an aha moment for me of this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I work with kids and adults with special needs, and I teach horseback riding and work with horses as a form of therapy for a wide range of different things going on for different people. So yeah, I absolutely love it. It's
Wow.
amazing. And
Wow.
the difference that you see in kids and adults just working with animals in a therapeutic environment is absolutely astounding.
Do you have any good farm stories? I used to work on a farm, and I have
Really?
some crazy. Oh yeah, I'll tell you about it. Do you have any crazy farm stories?
Like I need to know like what kind of crazy
Okay,
part.
okay, yeah, that's right. We're on Facebook Live. Oh, so okay, I'll give you a story. So I used to work for Harvey Hubble, who's an Emmy Award film producer, who actually all of you should go check out, because he's an Emmy Award film producer specializing in education documentaries, and he made a very famous documentary called Dyslexia the movie, and dyslexia is spelled how it actually sounds. It's awesome. Okay, he interviews all these famous people, right? So I'm working for Harvey Hubble, working to sell his movie during the day, right? And this was back in high school. This is awesome. This is so much fun. So working to sell his movie during the day. In the mornings, I'd help clean up the chicken coop and rake the cow, manure, right? And then in the evenings, I'd garden. It was like the most mystical experience ever as just like a kid. You're like working in the earth, and then you're selling a movie. It's like straight out of a movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where I go down in the morning to the chicken coop, and all of a sudden I see a skunk.
Oh no.
And if Harvey ends up watching this at some point, Harv, you're the man, okay? Because Harvey and I go call Harvey. I'm like, oh my God, there's a skunk. And skunks eat eggs. And
Yeah.
the skunk was eating the eggs of the chickens.
Oh,
And it's in this massive chicken coop. So the question is, how do you get a skunk out of the chicken coop
without getting
and
sprayed.
without getting sprayed? I mean, you could turn so many life lessons into this story. I mean, it's awesome. So here we have this skunk, and we're like talking to the skunk. We're getting to the skunk. We're like trying to figure out, like, do we like feed it out of the thing? Do we lure it out? And we're just trying to figure this thing out. And it was so fun because every time it would like lift its tail, we would just like dart away. It was so funny. So I believe what we did was we took like chicken feed, and
Uh-huh.
we just lured it out of the chicken coop.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, it was just like one of those things of where you're just like, you just had a problem solve in that moment, and here you have an animal that's just doing doing what it does. It's just eating breakfast.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, yeah,
Wow.
definitely farm story.
If you didn't get sprayed, that's a huge success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have some crazy farm stories. Now, of course, I'm coming up blank on most, but just the crazy situations that some of our animals would get themselves into some days.
Yeah.
You have an indoor arena with a super high ceiling,
Right.
and it has like rafters, like wood up in the ceiling. And I had a cat get stuck in there the other day, and I almost had to call the fire department.
What?
Had a cat climb into the ceiling and get
Oh.
stuck into the roof of
I
the
feel like they always find themselves in the worst situations.
50 feet up. It was awful, but eventually we got her down. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. There's just something about animals. We actually had a question about from Jackie. Do you do one-on-one sessions? My daughter is fearful of riding in front of others.
Yeah, we do one-on-one sessions. We have like a lot of kids that kids and adults that are fearful in the beginning, and we're able to get them to eventually get over that fear and make it into something confidence building. So
Lauren, do you feel, thank you, Jackie, for asking that question. Do you feel that do you think there's a correlation between ADHD and animals and focusing with animals? Like, like, what, what did that provide? Do you see kids coming in with ADHD, working with animals? What are some ways that we can take this away for us to think about the importance animals may have with kids with learning disabilities, not just ADHD, by the way. I'm talking also about
yeah,
dyslexia and other learning attention challenges.
yeah. So I mean, back to what I said before, horses are such a great therapy tool. I have a lot of kids with ADHD. I think I've had a few kids with dyslexia. I've had kids with ODD, processing disorders, autism, tons of different big range of kids. And working with horses benefits each of them in ways that you wouldn't even have thought of.
Yeah.
And I mean, the horse is such a great therapy tool because it helps you take what you're feeling, and you have to, you know, if kids have animal empathy, they want to be able to provide a happy and comfortable time for that animal. So you're able to kind of step out of your emotions and your feelings and the things going on in your head that are making you feel wired at the moment for that other creature without feeling like it's an authority figure or someone intimidating. Like, you have the power to make this animal feel happy. And do you know what I mean? It's kind of
I'm so
unraveling,
with you.
but
Oh, I'm so with you because
yeah,
it's almost like maybe if you can't get access to a horse, if you have a pet, maybe it's that sense of responsibility
it
that
really is.
kids love. Like,
Yeah.
for example, if you have a dog or a cat or a bird, right? Shout out to Cisco. I know that Jill's watching this. So one of our parents. So if you have any animal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if we can give kids that sense of responsibility. Question parents, have you ever given your kids or thought about giving your kids the task of feeding the dog or feeding the cat as that kind of responsibility? Because if we can work with animals, what you're saying, Lauren, that's what a great way to build confidence like that.
Absolutely. It's very confidence building. And it doesn't just have to be horses. That's just what I work with the most. So
Yeah.
but
I mean, horses are so cool.
yes, very cool.
Yeah. See, I love trains. I have no idea why people love trains so much, but I just think they're the coolest things ever, right? So horses, trains, I mean, like, the point is that you could be cool, right?
Mhm.
And still have hobbies and still turn a hobby into a passion and maybe into even a profession like what you're doing. Did you
Yeah.
ever, I guess maybe you thought have you always wanted to work with horses? Is that
So I always wanted to be in a helping career. There was a long time where I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but nothing actually felt quite right. I think for me, the passion is working with horses. That's like my passion. But what really career-wise for me is the teaching aspect and the helping aspect of therapeutic riding. And I'm actually in the process of applying to grad schools right now because I want to go back to school as a counselor. So I want to still do therapeutic riding, but I want to be able to help kids in a school setting as well and provide what I didn't get when I was that young.
What are you doing in grad school? What are you doing for grad school?
I'm applying to a bunch of different programs that are local to me. So I'm still in the application processes, but I'm excited.
So, well, I wish you the best of luck in that.
Thank you.
Who would have thought, when you're in school, and parents, I'm serious, like in Lauren is just a great testament to this. It's just what your kids are experiencing now may not, it isn't going to be what's going to happen down the road.
Yeah.
And Lauren, did you feel alone in this journey, or did you have mentors or guides or advisors along your path?
Yeah, I mean, I felt alone for a long time. And then I was lucky enough to have some teachers in my corner and some coaches, especially my horseback riding coaches, that mentored me, not just in horseback riding, but in other aspects of life, and were able to help me build confidence. But I do feel that if I had a mentor like us in this program at a younger age, it could have drastically improved my experience in school. Maybe not like made my grades go up miraculously, but from a self-esteem standpoint, a confidence standpoint, mental health standpoint, I feel like it would have been so beneficial. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for those of you who may not know what Lauren's talking about, Lauren is a mentor for us, Superpower Consulting. We call it the Super Squad, right? And Lauren's working with other young girls and guys that have learning and attention challenges that are struggling the way she did, right? And we have a chance to give back. And do you feel that mentoring has helped heal that part of you when you were growing up?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I feel like I learned things from the kids that I mentor about myself as well. It's really an amazing process that benefits both mentee and mentor.
Now,
Yeah.
keep going. Sorry.
And I was just gonna say, and it's also helped me to figure out to hone in more clearly on what I want to do career-wise in the future, which is amazing. So I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah. We actually just had another question here from Erica. Did you ever have a teacher not click with you and make school even harder? Were you able to speak up or tell your parents?
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, I mean, I had some wonderful teachers, but I had some teachers who were really difficult and not empathetic at all to what I was dealing with. Had some teachers who made it a lot harder, and a lot of teachers who were really, really negative with me, and that stunk. But I was able to, I mean, I got through it. And then I was also able to reach out to my parents and reach out to other teachers at school and explain what was happening, and try to get the teachers I was struggling with to understand me a little bit better. I would say, oh, it only happens sometimes. But I mean, you get through it, and then you learn more about yourself through that process. So
yeah, that's so good. Now, I just want to like quickly dive in on the bullying element real quick, because if that's okay. I know
on the
it's on the bullying.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You guys, a lot of kids are getting bullied right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I got bullied, and I know that you were saying that you got bullied.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a sensitive topic just because it's like it's hurtful to get bullied. It's not an enjoyable experience at all.
Yeah. No.
And how did you deal with a bully when a bully was like, how would you manage that or like deal with that? Is it like talking to your parents? Was it like, what did you do?
It's really hard, and I think I handled it differently at different ages. But um, sometimes you're embarrassed about it. You don't want to talk to teachers or parents about it. My family is really big and we're all very close. So I talk to my older cousins a lot, and they help me deal with some of that. I mean, it feels like the end of the world when you're going through it, but in hindsight, it has made me so much stronger, and it's allowed me to, now I can turn what I went through, the negative things that I went through bullying wise, into a great way to help other people get through it and show them what you come out on the other side like,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I answered it, but I'm not sure if I answered your
No, you
question
did.
fully
You did. You did. You answered it because it's something that it's so real.
there.
So I just want to acknowledge your share, and like for you, for anyone that is out there getting bullied, or have kids that are getting bullied, it's never fun. It's so upsetting. And if there's anyone that they can speak to that's older than them, that they can just pick their brain and just have them know that everyone learns differently and that it's going to be okay. And bullies, well, they're going through a lot also. It's not an excuse, but it's good to realize that they're just the recipient, and they have to know that they're great and they're strong and they can get through it, because these are just obstacles and we have to push through all these obstacles because it's what makes us stronger. It really is.
Yeah.
So Lauren, if you were to go back in time, okay, to the younger version of you, what kind of advice would you give younger Lauren?
um I mean, I think I would say to younger me that, I feel this is really hard right now, but it's not going to be this way forever. You're going to be successful. You're going to be amazing at what you eventually end up doing. And um, just basically to hold on and focus on yourself, and that it's
Yeah.
all going to get better. I know that sounds so cliche, but it really does. Like,
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. Yeah. Well, look, like there's so much to what you're saying, okay? And it's uh it's kind of like it's when you get a chance to just speak it, it's like when else would you ever talk about this part of your life, you know?
yeah.
But it's like a lot of people forget. There are people going through what there are people going through now,
Hmm.
right? What inspired you to become a mentor?
Um, I mean, definitely the thought that if I had access to this as a kid, I think it would have helped me a ton. Um, and I mean, I love working with kids in general. I have so much personal experience in learning differently and struggling in school that I thought, why would I not want to help other people and share my experience with it and try to turn negatives into positives, right? That's all we can want to do, is turn hard stuff into learning experiences and help for others. I mean, that's what I think is the most rewarding thing that you can do with your time, really. So
That's awesome. Well,
it was a
I
brainer for me. But
is that
oh, I said it felt like a no-brainer for me. When I initially found out about the program, I was like, I need to be involved in this no matter what. So
that's that's so inspiring. I mean, to be able to work with these kids, I mean, it's just the greatest gift that we can ask for, you know?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so look, I want to really thank you for coming on. And for all of our parents who joined us. I know that we're post Easter, we're post holidays. So I hope everyone's just recovering and excited for the spring. And that is what we're all about, is just starting a new conversation, right? Because this is the new opportunity, right? We're just come up with a big holiday, both in many different religions, right? And this is the biggest thing that we talked about, right? Is King Solomon said, train the child according to their way. That's education. That's how education should be. And that's how we have to start thinking about this, is the way they were talking about this thousands of years ago, right? And unfortunately, you're seeing schools and the school system kind of branch away from that a lot. And we're trying to teach an entire class when in reality, no one learns the same.
Yeah.
And this is going back to the era of King Solomon, you know? So I think it's a great opportunity for us to reflect on that and know that they were onto something and we're onto something. We're all saying the same thing. Okay. And I just, Lauren, want to thank you for taking the time to just share your story.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, my absolute pleasure. Um, because it's in the young people. We're the ones that are gonna, like, it's up to us to change the world. It really is. It's up to us. It's up to the generations younger than us, because this is our world. We're gonna be we're gonna be the next presidents. We're gonna be the next CEOs. We're gonna be the next, leaders out there, our generation. So we have to start stepping up and speaking, because if we don't, I don't know what kind of change is going to happen. So it's really, thank you for speaking.
Yeah, sure.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us this evening. And I have a surprise guest coming on Thursday at 12 o'clock. So stay tuned. And with that being said, thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.